Yeah. And she'll still wonder if I'm here. Jesse, Michelle's about to talk to the group. Is that all right?
Let me pull it up real quick. Looks like we're having a minor earthquake. No, it's rolling by.
All right. Gonna fix this back.
Okay. We have a lot of people. Somebody projections.
All right, I don't have your, welcome, do you want to say anything? I just spoke to him before you walked in, so please.
Hello, thank you. I love it when you have a group that prompts. I know that's an unusual comment usually in most districts, but for me, every year I say it that I wish that we would have a room full of people to come and watch this process. It's important for you. And so thank you really for spending your time here with us tonight.
And since a lot of, since we have a group and many people haven't necessarily been here before, can we just take a moment? Who are you? And who am I? And can we do that?
Yes. So I'm Kathy Weber, and I am the chief negotiator for the board, and I negotiate for the board for SJEA, and then I also do SUGESTA. And then in my kind of other job, I am the director for budget for the district. Yeah.
I'm Kathy Hutchins, Associate Superintendent of Human Resources. CSP and also
Christian Saunders, Chief Financial Officer.
I'm Wayne Day, Associate Superintendent for Accountability.
Kristen Bennett, I'm Instructional Director, Cynthia Williams, State Director for Innovation.
Dawn Staff, Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction.
And Colin Kirkland, Director for Policy and Government Relations.
I'm Justin Vogel. I'm a teacher at Creekside, and I'm also your chief negotiator for SJEA. To my left.
Tammy Whitaker with the Florida Education Association and representing the teachers and the support in this county.
Morgan Mousley. I am a teacher at Creekside.
I'm Jess Bachata, and I am the head of the physics department at Pedro Menendez.
And down this way.
Sally Cunningham, instructional literacy coach at Southwoods Elementary School.
Jennifer Jurek, teacher at Ward Street.
Chad Racy, teacher at Sebastian Middle School.
And in row 2, Michelle.
Hi, welcome, Michelle Dillon, president of SJA. Thank you for being here.
I'm Megan Gunn, teacher at Soquay Creek and second vice president of SJEA.
Kate Dowdy, first vice president of SJEA.
Catherine Clark, secretary of SJEA.
Thank you.
All right, I think that covers it.
So I'm only expecting one more person, so if at any point somebody comes in and needs these 2 chairs, please feel free to take them, and then if we just scrounge around for some other chairs, I'll certainly make sure that we find some.
There's one back there.
Okay, all right.
Okay, one thing is on our side, we do have a counter for that, and I don't have your agenda items, so.
So once I saw your agenda, we decided just to stick with your agenda.
We don't have to unload it all tonight. We have tomorrow night too. You don't have any counters?
I don't have any counters tonight.
Right, so that you're holding them for tomorrow, or you don't have them at all?
I don't have any counters. We have been solely working on compensation. And so we were trying to prepare in case you pass something across. And so when you sent the agenda items, that was our focus.
So do you have compensation?
You put it on the agenda. I'm going to let you pass across first.
Okay, great. We have an MOU for, this was proposed by the board, by the district, for Gaines Alternative School and transition school. They're one and the same, right?
Correct.
Gaines and transition school.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so we countered, and then I believe you stuck with your initial position, so we're going to counter again.
Okay.
6 of these. Five. Okay, we counted with $5,000 and we stuck with 2,500. So let me, before we get to anything in red there, let's back up for a second. So we were going to handle the gains and transition school does have a serious issue right now with recruiting and retaining. And we were going to address this through differentiated pay. You'll see in our proposal that we're going to propose increasing the pot of money there. We could do that along with an exclusive supplement in that category. But you brought it as an MOU, which is probably honestly more appropriate because the problem is acute. And so we just need something for this year. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in the contract. So the argument, if you will, here is that they're having a unique, now it's not to discount that throughout this district, we have openings and difficulty recruiting and retaining. We
Correct.
do, we absolutely do. But for everybody listening at home, the problem it gains from transitions is acute and much more severe than throughout the district. So we believe that the incentive needs to be appropriate to that seriousness. So I appreciate you framing it as a thank you, but we're saying that it's not a thank you. It's an amount of money to address a serious problem. We need to recruit and retain people at this school. We're talking 16 total, right? 16 total instructional people. And I mean, they're down, they might be down half right now. It's serious.
But they're
It's a
down.
percentage, right? I mean, they're woefully understaffed. They're woefully understaffed. So we'll counter with 3,500 so that the incentive is meaningful, more meaningful. Not to say that 2,500 isn't, it's more meaningful. And then we did our research and we realized that the problem is very similar in the EBD units and IND units specifically. Again, not to understate the problem throughout the district, but we are proposing that we include those people at half the amount. So I'll read it for you, but it's the same language as in number 1. For the 21-22 school year, a maximum of $1,750 incentive will be paid to instructional personnel, curriculum coaches assigned to an EBD unit. And of course, that is stated emotionally, behaviorally disturbed, and or an intellectually disabled unit, IND, to be paid in two installments, fall and spring. This incentive will be prorated based on the number of days. That's why it said maximum earlier. Number of days employed in the EBD or IND unit as an instructional position. Excuse me, in an instructional position. Any instructional employee in a part-time regular position will have their incentive adjusted based on the percentage of their position. So the same example as you used above, 40% position, which I believe is the lowest percentage that we use, right?
We have
Yeah,
20%.
Okay, so for example.
Rarely
then-
in these positions,
Right.
but it's possible.
Okay, all right, but 20% would get 20%, 40% would be 40%. So we understand. Okay, so that's our counter proposal. Our main talking points. Do you have any questions for me?
So I have the question that I'll always ask you is, do you know how many teachers are considered
Yeah,
for number 2?
We're estimating that this would cost a little over $100,000. That's really what we need to know, right? And the estimate of the cost.
So your projection is about 57 teachers district-wide,
Number 2?
yes?
Yep.
Okay. I do not have any questions for you regarding this.
Okay. Supplements.
Okay.
Supplements and compensation are related, obviously, but they are in 2 different articles.
They are.
So, and supplements in Article 17, extra pay for extra duty, does not include advanced degree supplements. That's in Article 16.
Correct.
We believe that everything else is captured in this article. unless in an MOU.
I would agree with that.
3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't want to do that ahead of time from now on. You know.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no changes on page 1. The talking point here, the main talking point is that our basically our line of reasoning and our avenue of attack here. The best way to handle supplements is to address the value of a point, right? Because we can handle time, pressure, and all the other elements in committee, right? We have a supplement committee that addresses those things. I'm sorry, time, staff, and pressure responsibility. So we're zeroed in on the value of a point. We did our research, and it turned up that our research indicated that we had an adjustment to supplements in 2001 and in 2012. So there could be 2 different historical records there, so we can, if you find something different, let me know, but that's what our research turned up.
Okay.
2001, it went to 180, the value of a point. In 2012, 196.
Okay.
For a couple of years now, we've had 2 supplements through MOU that we're going to propose putting into the contract,
Okay.
into Article 17. Schoology trainer and performance matters trainer. And so those were proposed by the district 2 years ago at $250. And that is a noble goal for the value of a point, $250. We also recommend, and I'll give you some more reasoning here and evidence. We also recommend increasing that base value by $10 until it reaches $300. So that gives some planning time. I know that we've been budgeting about $3 million for supplements, but we don't know what's been paid. What you supplied to us was what's been budgeted.
Right.
So if they were all paid, we're working with $3 million, but I don't know that for sure. Okay. Do you have any questions about that before we get to the rest of the document?
No.
Okay. Under E, unanimous, you need another one?
Yeah.
We'll do it. Under E, we're on page 2, Mike. Thank you. Under E, the commit, just a change to the committee. Let's just make sure the committee meets once a year to talk about those time, staff, and pressure responsibilities. Quite honestly, we're not sure where the sentence came from that we're striking through this unanimous consent. The parties may recommend implementation to the superintendent. I mean, that's our job. It's these 2 teams. That's what we do. Right. So not sure where the unanimous consent was coming from, but anyway, on the next page, we are proposing, this is one of those incentives to come to our district. If you have the ESOL reading or gifted certification or endorsement, you'll get the one-time supplement. We've been doing 500. We recommend changing that to 1,000. Again, commas have a dramatic effect on people's decision-making. So we'd like a comma in that number. And maybe people will come here and that'll be a perk that they get. After 4, I'm sorry, we did strike through some language there. Let me cover this. Number 2, we want to take out the limitation that you can only get one of those. If you go out and get ESOL endorsed or certified, and you go out and get gifted endorsed or certified, we think that you should be able to get both of them. And it's good for students to have that. It's good for it's good for teachers to have that. So
the let me just talk about the reason why we did that, because it was one per school year. Because if somebody has all three, they're gonna eat, it's gonna eat away, whatever the bucket is, whether it's 75 or 250, it
Right.
eats away that bucket very fast.
Mhm.
And so as opposed to, let's say it was 250,000, instead of 250 people being able to get $1,000 each, maybe over a 3-year period, because they all have all three,
Right.
you now limit it to a fewer number of people all getting $3,000 or $2,000 because of it. And so just some rationale for you to
Yeah,
think about why we did that.
Yeah, we are aware. We have a plan for that.
Okay,
And so here's the rationale. That if you, let's just skip down to that red, that you just mentioned 250, right? Because you read ahead there. Payments shall be made in order to receive not to exceed 250,000 annually for the years 21 and 22. Then we would drop the number back down for budgeting purposes, but now let's increase it to a number that would attract a lot of people and encompass a lot of people, and then go back to some level of restricting those funds. And then we could also, you can counter and we can look at maybe limiting it to 1 per year at that point too. But the reason for the dramatic rise from 75,000 to 250 is to incentivize people now. You know, if you're getting a $3,000 bonus for coming to our district, that's a wonderful thing. And maybe 250 doesn't cover it all. And maybe there are 250 people who would all. I don't know.
and so that's also why you took out the piece about working for 4 years before you.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly. So instead of requiring people to work here for 4 continuous years, you come here, you have 4 years of experience, you have any experience. You come here, you start here, you can get this seems like a perfect thing to do. It seems like a perfect in these times. Okay. We're going to continue to the next page. You'll see that we are proposing to we've already doubled the differentiated pay through MOU. So we recommend making that permanent. Differentiated pay bucket of money.
Up here and down.
Yeah. Again, we already are doing that this year.
I believe so. Yes, yes.
Under exceptional supplements, we calculated, and you'll see this kind of theme, we calculated the rise from the value of point at 196 to 250. That is a 22% increase in 24 quarters, exactly. And so we carry that percentage through. So 165 should be representative of that, although the number may be rounded, but that's representative of that addition. So we're talking there about in N, we're talking about exceptional supplements. Department grade level academic shares will receive, instead of 129 per teacher assigned to the department, 165. Again, it's just time to raise it.
So,
Mhm.
okay, so N is new,
I'm
the
sorry,
letter N is new,
I
right?
can explain that better. Yes, what we did is we want to skip ahead.
Here we go, okay, I'm trying to figure out where that, okay.
Chad and I grew on this, but you're gonna see language.
I'm trying to clean it up a little bit.
Okay.
So
All right,
You're gonna see language at the end, all struck through, so let's skip to the second last page. And that information that was just added on, kind of in the man's land is now in,
okay,
now,
all right, so continue.
So we're back to, now we're in N exceptional supplements, right?
And I'm sorry, you said that was a how much percentage?
Our, from 196 to 250 represents 22.5. So 165 minus 129. Yeah, it's rounded up, but it's close to that. Don't hold me to 22.44, but it's in that range.
Okay.
Okay, so then we again increase in that same paragraph. Principal determines makeup of groups. Maximum amount for one chairperson will be equal to 12 professional employees. So we just did the math. All right, so that 1548 to 1980 is not 22%, it's 12 times the 165. Right, got it? Okay. All right, 7 period supplement has been $3,000 for some period of time. Quite honestly, we're unable to determine exactly how long it's been 3,000, but it's quite possible that when it was introduced, it was 3,000 and hasn't changed. So we are proposing that it, instead of proposing a one-time change to that dollar amount, so let's say $4,000, then 8 years from now, we'd be having the same conversation. It hasn't gone up in 8 years. So what we're proposing is that it becomes worth, instead of $3,000, 10% of the negotiated base salary. So we're at 45,535 right now. And so when that moves, this number would move. Does that make sense? We would possibly be ahead of the game in that way.
So when you say the base salary, is it base salary
Not
of the
the-
employee, or is
No.
it the base, it's the beginning salary,
Yes.
it's like step 0 on the placement
Yes.
schedule?
So right now, it's 45,535.
Okay.
It is not the employee's, no. So if you make $65,000, it's not 10% of that.
Starting salary.
Starting
Right.
salary, yeah,
Nomenclature means everything.
yes, it does.
Yeah, the law's been using base. Yeah, we can change it to starting. I mean, you agree?
Just clarifying.
Just trying.
Swing in a minute.
Okay, so co-teachers, 5%. So, again, the idea is to change it to a percentage, and it will move as that moves. Okay, this is new language, but has been in a supplement, or excuse me, in an MOU ongoing for several years now. All professional employees at St. John's Technical High School shall receive a supplement paid in 2 installments, fall and spring. This incentive will be prorated based on the number of days employed at St. John's Technical High School in an instructional position. Supplement shall be maximum 2,500. Now, we've already agreed to that for this year in the MOU. Not asking for this would be to move codify that in the year. Okay, the next paragraph was, Pat, I remember jumping here at some point on this one, but this has been discussed, right?
Yeah, so I can take it.
So, maybe it's chat.
The athletic liaisons at all the middle schools and KDs, before the start of last season's, or last school year, met with the principal, who came up with an idea to assign one athletic director to be in charge of creating schedules, managing scores, and basically running the season's sporting events, athletic programs, that's soccer, that's basketball, or the schools. And unfortunately, he moved on to a new position within the district, and that kind of fell to pieces in the middle of the year. The athletic directors are all on board. Everybody thought it was a great idea. It takes a load off of the principals who are now responsible for doing that work. And it kind of puts it on one person in charge to be a point of contact with the principals. It gives one person an opportunity to be a point of contact with the student affairs office as well.
And it could still be a 1-year gig, right?
Yeah.
It could still rotate.
It could still rotate person to person, but the person now that's doing it does it on a volunteer basis. And handle it. It's a significant amount of work to handle scores weekly and free schedules.
So what does the middle school interscholastic coordinator do?
So they're handling it at their own school. So they're handling the teams at the school, they're communicating with parents, they're collecting the documents that need to be done at the school level. This person would be essentially one step there, because right now at the high school level, athletic directors and coaches create their schedules on their own. At the middle school level, that does not happen. There's a schedule that comes out in all schools.
So the interscholastic coach is not doing that.
They are not doing that. That comes from the principals.
Any other questions about that?
I know this since he's done it.
I've been in that position now.
This is, yeah,
For the $2,000 supplement to coordinate the middle school activities,
Yes.
inter-school, And,
It's all within St. Johns County.
not an athletic director, it's an athletic liaison position.
Essentially, yep.
So if we do this, this would belong in exceptional supplements, so that's why it's
And it's just one.
one person,
All
One
the
person role.
middle
one person from middle.
It's currently what, 13 schools now?
Middle and K is 13. So, yes, one person, one supplement.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, Jack.
We can, after that, we're into the tables that
Right.
include, so we struck through the dollar amount only because once we change the value of a point, then we can fill that out.
Gotcha.
And so we're gonna go all the way to the second to last page. Okay, so the STEM club, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so STEM Club was in there and it had its own, set of, requirements that I felt, I think I understand where we were going with when we created it, but I think now we kind of falls into, this all levels supplement that we would have, and it doesn't need its own description. I think that kind of that would almost set the precedent that every supplement would need its own description within the contract if we were gonna do it that way. In terms of number of competitions that need to be competed in, that kind of thing. So I went ahead and structured that and moved it into the supplemental pay all levels section, if that makes sense.
And then on the previous page, I just don't want you to think that I'm trying to overlook something, but the MS Web is actually character counts.
Yeah, it was initially, it said CC.
So it's just a
I
clarification.
just clarified,
Yes.
I just clarified what it was,
It's
yeah.
just a clarification. And then the word point was missing from the bottom phrase. And it's not a substantive thing. Okay, so back to the STEM club. So it's moved, and that's why it's struck from here.
I struck through the description as well. Like I said, as I don't see it, because compared to everything else that we have there. And we renamed school improvement team chair. I think we're using SAC chair now, is the correct terminology. And you can see there where we added performance matters trainer and school leadership trainer into the all levels.
And for those that don't know, those have been, for the last 2 years, those have been in an MOU. Performance matters and school. So the rest of the strike throughs are, and you can certainly look through them, but they're moved. They're moved into more appropriate position in the article. I just have a couple more comments about this article, and I'll take any questions that you might have, but I just want to frame it. Obviously, the big thing here is the movement of the value of a point from 196 to 250, representing a 22% increase. Again, 2012 and 2001 were the last times these moved. We analyzed the whole state of Florida, and all I gotta do is look over there and he'll rattle off numbers until it's 9 o'clock, we're all tired of him talking, all right?
Mike, you just look-
I was gonna say, yeah.
But I'm going
It's
to,
my job.
you'll have Mike's attention. But here's the thing, seriously, we are in, you gotta put, supplements don't always equate, so this district has a supplement for this position, and we have one for this position, and you don't know if they're the same, So what we did was we looked at it globally and said, okay, let's look at similar ones, right? Let's look at same first, exactly the same. Middle school band. Middle school band is not ambiguous. We know what that is, and we know what we call it here. If you put the state of Florida into kind of 3 tiers when it comes to supplements, we're in the third tier. Okay, we need to get out of the third tier and into the second tier. Okay. And I can give you some more evidence for that if you want.
But so like cheer right now, an average of 67% lower than other schools.
Then no, that's then the state. Right?
Within the state average, yeah.
That's the state average. Compared to the state average, cheer is substantially, and that's an extreme example.
That's an extreme. Golf, 18.6% lower. Choral is even higher, 70%. They range from anywhere from 18 to almost 75% lower.
But and this is a safe statement. All of the ones that we found that are comparable or the same that we could identify as surely the same, we're lower, and we got to fix that. We're lower.
So what districts did you look at?
States, the whole state.
Yes, I pulled a lot.
Those numbers are compared to the state average.
So, I mean, did you go to Orange County and?
Yeah, so I went to
When you say state, 'cause
individual-
there's- I don't think there's a list.
Yeah, so I went to
You had to do it.
individual
You had to do
counties, and pulled their supplement, any one that I could find, and pulled their data and compiled it.
We didn't cherry pick it. We're in the third tier. So the 250 gets us moved up. The $10 a year after that we can then account for and budget for, brings us to the next level. Okay, so that's kind of how I wanted to frame it to you. Get from the third tier to the second tier, and then let's look at getting it from the second tier to the first tier over time.
So if I need to see what she had, to have the discussion I needed to have,
Yeah.
do you have something that I could, are you willing to share that with me?
So I've got some, would you like to see some of the contiguous ones, like the nearby counties and the like-sized counties as well? Would that be more helpful?
All right, so you want a sampling or do you want a contiguous and like size? That's typically what we limit ourselves.
Okay,
I mean, what good does it look to look at Hillsborough sometimes? You know what I mean? They're the 8th largest in the country. So, anyway, I don't have any problem sharing with you everything.
Okay.
The research is solid. I wouldn't be here at the table if I didn't think the research was solid.
okay, I do not think that, I'm gonna look at Gretchen. Any questions, Gretchen? Okay. I mean, that was pretty straightforward. And I need to go to look at my emails and look at, and see if Paul Abertinozy has sent me anything. I know that, beach volleyball is actually a thing now. And so we may have to
Yeah.
add,
Probably using a discretionary
Something like
supplement
that.
right now. Yeah.
so. Okay.
Okay. Ours did not have any new supplements.
Right.
Big thing
No, I
is,
noticed
big
that.
thing is the value of the point. Okay, how do we start here? Compensation. All right, the TSIA, just to make sure everybody's on the same page here. The TSIA, we gotta start with the TSIA, right? Because we gotta fulfill that first before we make any local decisions, right? So last year, the state legislature added $500 million for the state, categorical, so it had to be spent a certain way, 80-20 distribution, all of that. And we had to try to get to 47.5, and we got to 45,535. Okay, so the state added $50 million, and our share of that was just over $1 million, as presented by Ms. Saunders. And you subtract charters and you subtract fringe, and so I went with. Now I looked at FEFP. We looked at various sources to get this number, okay? But so what we went with was the latest email that you gave me with a TSIA of 897,198. Correct? Okay. So let's start with that. All right, when we talk about fringe, we got to subtract fringe, and for those that don't know, 7.65 FICA and 10% FRS, right? Any objections over there? No, that's it, 17.65, right?
Mhm.
So that number comes to 738, 843, 80% of that, 20% of that, those numbers are right there. We went back and scrubbed the data, looked at the classroom, number of classroom teachers at the base, number of non-classroom teachers at the base. That when we say base, we mean 45,535. So those numbers obviously come out different because you have far fewer people in the non-classroom group and typically a little bit higher paid, just because of years of experience. So anyway, we're recommending that we add 590 to that base. That would bring our new base to 46,
And just sign.
125.
Looking at-
I know.
I'm looking for the email that I was
I do the same.
sent, that I think.
Well, I could start with, like, for example, Gretchen's 1.057 and subtract charters, which was 50, we estimated originally 50, and then turns out it's 58,000. So, I just went with the latest number you gave.
All right. Too many emails. Okay.
It might be more, it might be less.
Yeah, no.
There's-
It's it was not much, so you're good.
We're within, I think it's safe to say we're within $50,000 of that. Okay, so we recommend that the district adds 590 to the base,
Okay.
to the starting, use the right nomenclature.
Okay. And so that gets us to,
46,125. Might seem low. Why is the union trying to get to 47.5? You might be wondering. Because we want people that have been here that have experience to get the big raises. That's why, right? So 590. Now, one big problem that we have to overcome is that anything, as you all know, because we're up on it, but everybody out there may not know. Law this year says that it's a wonderful way to say it, right?
Yep.
Anything we add to the base can be no less than 150% of what we add to the grandfather schedule. And when we say schedule, what we mean is anybody in the grandfather group, because there are, let's say, 500 people in that group. They could all be making a different amount of money. There's not really a schedule. That's an old term that we're using. It's a group. It's a
It is
group of
the
people.
group. You're right.
All right. So anybody in the grandfather group, they all have to get the same raise. You can't discriminate within a group, right? So they got to get the same raise. So the formula then becomes 590 divided by 1.5. So we would be limiting the grandfather raise to a whopping $393.
Yep.
Okay.
We're with you.
And of course, we want to make up for that. So we want to make up for that with a new supplement that would be called the longevity supplement. That would go to the people, everybody would get the same because you have to, in the grandfather category. All right. So 393 is not our proposal. That's just what would be added to their salary because it's restricted by law. So here is our proposal for what we would add to the grandfather with a longevity supplement and to the annual contract group, which comes in two versions, performance highly effective and performance effective. And again, if you're highly effective and not grandfathered, you got to get the same raise as anybody else who's highly effective and not grandfathered, right? That when you're in a group, you're in a group, and that's it. So here's our proposal. We printed the entire article,
Okay.
but you may or may not want to. We may or may not want to walk through every single. Somebody got it there. Well, I got one. I just need somebody to share.
For sure.
Okay. Okay. So we propose a raise to anyone annual contract highly effective of 3,400, annual contract performance effective 2,550. Those numbers are different because by law, the effective raise has to fall between 50 and 75% of the highly effective raise. So the percentage that we're using is 74.99 to put the two raises as close together as possible. Grandfathered again would only get 393 because of the statutory limitation, but we are proposing in D. By the way, there was no C or D, so we didn't have to reorder. There just wasn't one. So of a annual recurring longevity supplement of $3,000, and that would be for anybody in the grandfather category. So obviously, it would have to be paid as a supplement. And currently, supplements are paid once a year, right? So 393 added to base, 3,000 in a supplement. So nobody gets added to this group. People only leave it. So the 19.13% of people that are in the grandfathered group right now will never grow, right? We all understand that, we all agree. So you budget for this, and it's only gonna go down over time, because nobody ever gets added to the grandfathered group. If you had a professional service contract or continuing contract prior to July 1st, 2011, and you chose to keep it, right? And then, of course, you have to meet the other criteria. You didn't leave the county and come back, right? Break in service or any of that. So if you chose to keep it, then you're on a grandfathered schedule. So it's 19.13% of people right now in our group. And that number will only go down. So you want a dollar amount? Okay. I know that you're gonna cost out too. You may have one or two bits of missing information that we don't have. For example, the number of people, the number of instructional personnel currently in their first year. Okay, for currently in the first year. So it'd be A0, right? But that doesn't tell us the whole story. Is it how many are at 45,535 this year? They could have brought in a year of experience because we compressed the salary schedule. So it's not exactly clear. So let me give you an example why we don't know this number exactly. I'm estimating 300. I don't know, you might know it off the top of your head. 300 people in the first year. Just a guess. You don't know? You don't know how many new teachers we have?
More than 300.
Okay, but right, but that would fall between 0 and 7 years, right? Because they come in here, on the salary schedule that I see that you send, I see A4, but I don't know how many years of experience they actually have, right? There's no way to tell exactly. Anyway, okay, so the cost of the supplement to the grandfathered people, we have it at 1.755. And again, that bucket of money will only decrease over time. 1.755.
755,000
Yes.
is the cost of the longevity.
The cost of the longevity supplement.
Okay.
The cost of the raise is 230,000. I can give you an exact number.
And you were making the assumption of 500
585
okay, that was
grandfather.
close to
494 classroom and 91 non-classroom.
that was from my sheets, right?
Yeah, you got the same number?
I did.
It's magic.
Okay, I feel like high five.
Yeah, 585 is the number we have.
Okay.
So, so the longevity supplement would be 1.755. Okay, then the other piece that we're not perfectly clear on, because I haven't received the information. I understand that you're trying to compile a lot of things, but I don't have we did ask for it, but we don't have the percentage of, or the number of highly effective and effective. So
Correct.
So we're estimating 70, because it matters. It's gonna
It
make,
does
it's gonna
matter,
make a big
absolutely.
difference,
It does.
whether it's 60% highly effective or 80%.
Right.
Anyway, we went with 75-25 as a guess.
For highly effective.
Yeah. Anybody know? Anybody know if that's close?
It's close. It's close. Literally
All right.
3 o'clock, maybe I got something.
We're
So
pretty good at what we do over here.
you are.
All right. All right, 75% highly effective, so and 25% effective. So that would come to, when you include the longevity supplement, of 9.386 million. 738,000 TSA money would be used though. So, yeah. And then a point of clarification. So if you're in your first year here, you get the, you don't have an evaluation.
Correct.
So
Just the
you would
adjustment
just
to
get
that.
the initial adjustment to the base. So again, that does matter by a few $100,000 if it's 300 people or 200 people or 400 people, because they're just getting, under our proposal, they're just getting 590. They're not getting 3,400 or 2,550. Okay, so those are the unknowns, but we think we're close.
Okay, so just thinking out loud to make sure that we stay within the constraints of the horrible language.
It's a terrible law, yes.
The
Terrible.
horrible law, we agree to that. Because what I don't ever want to happen is for someone to come in and audit and then you have to unroll what you did. So I will tell you, the only piece of this language that I have concerns about, and it's not.
Legal concern.
Yeah, legal concerns, is the reoccurring $3,000 supplement. Because could that be interpreted it's a loophole, if it smells like a salary and looks like a salary and feels like a salary, is DOE going to know that we were trying to circumvent what they were trying to put into place? Because the other thing is, if it's not the salary, can we, because this is the other important thing that we always want to make sure that we take into consideration, can we add it to your 5 highest years? Can it be reported to FRS? Does it fall within those constraints of not really a bonus? Is it a supplement? So I just want us, when we look at this, and if this is what we kind of create together, that we make sure that we don't harm anybody by that. Okay?
Yeah, we looked at that.
Okay.
Obviously, we had the same concern, and we believe that we're okay doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we believe that it's okay.
Okay.
It doesn't discriminate within the group, and that's the key consideration. So, all right.
So I know that it doesn't discriminate within the group.
Right. A grandfather 25-year and a grandfather 28-year are both getting a $3,000 supplement.
Okay. Right. And I think what I will do is pull some information about when you report a supplement. There are boxes that you have to check when somebody gets a supplement, whether
Right.
it goes towards your,
Right. And we
Salary or
believe that it
not,
does
or-
and that it should.
okay,
Yeah, we believe that it does and that it should. Yeah.
so I'm just gonna check behind you on that, okay? All right. Next,
On the next page, you'll find a proportional increase to annual associate teachers. That 30,000 is not accurate. It's actually 30,800 at the top of page 2. Yeah. So last year we went to 30,800.
no,
Okay. Correct. me
we
then.
were at 30,000. Those associate teachers that were already in the position got $800 on top of there. So if you look at number B2, associate teachers hired on or before May 28th of 2020 will receive an increase to their base pay of $800. That was because we didn't have an evaluation to give pay for performance. So that was their
I understand.
raise. So we're still at 30.
Okay.
So
Well,
the
I
jump
don't-
is to 31.
With the intent, yeah, 31,390. We're not
Okay.
talking millions of dollars. Let's just leave it at that. If you want to count it with the exact proportion, I'd understand. Okay. So we have a new entry placement schedule
Mhm.
that reflects 46,125. We left the previous 2 columns in there for historical purposes. Any questions?
So did,
It's each level plus 590. Every single level there, I did it formulated. Yes,
What's it?
because we want to make sure no
there's no jumping.
jumping.
We got it.
No, if I quit
We
today
got
and I
it.
come back tomorrow, well, I'm not
Right.
on the placement schedule.
Last year, people jumping or leapfrogging, whatever term we were using, was a major concern.
Sure.
This should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, page 3. The big thing here is the proposal to increase advanced degrees by a comparable amount to other supplements, which is 22.44%. Again, There may be a rounding of $1 here and there, but the general gist is 22.44. So we also recommend adding, by the way, for those that don't know, there are several ways to be getting an advanced degree supplement, but most people, I think, by now are getting it the way that is outlined first as a one-time in the spring. But some people do have it in their salary. They've been here long enough and they're getting it in their salary. They were at one point. Look at all the different categories.
Right, so, but the correction I want to make to your one time in the spring is that's not the case. You earn that every paycheck. So if you
You're
have an
spreading this
advanced
out?
degree, we spread that out
Okay,
for you.
all right.
Yes,
Okay, but it does fit the statute still, 10, 12, 22.
correct, because it's in a supplement, it's called advanced degree,
Okay, got it.
and then we make sure that we provide it.
All right. So, but we did make the change to all of the different categories. So rather than read through them, just know that the change is carried through and you can double check it if you want. But the big proposal here is the increase by 22%. So masters would go from 2650 to 3245. PhD would go to 5690. Specialist, we're proposing that includes masters plus 30. I can give you some extra documentation and evidence of that, but that would encompass more people that essentially have the specialist degree. So the master's plus 30, do you want an example of that, or do you know what I'm talking about?
I know, yes, I know how
Okay.
to do, I understand what you're talking about,
Okay.
because that
You know the
tends to be
terminology.
kind of a struggle, because the conferred degree doesn't say specialists. They have a master's degree,
Right.
they've taken 30
Right.
credit hours on top of
Right.
that, so.
And we can provide you some documentation, and an example of that position would be what, Michelle? School psychology. Okay. So that we carry the numbers throughout, and we can go to the next page. Already?
Have you costed that?
No, because we do not know how many people are earning each one. Good question. So I won't say this in a combative way. It just wasn't in the information that we asked for.
Correct.
Again, budgeted.
Did you ask for?
Yeah.
Who was master's specialist doctorate?
Mhm. Included, the inclusion was advanced degrees separated out. And so it's in there as a round number budgeted, but we don't know what's actually paid. So again, just too hard to tell.
Oh, okay, that's on, yeah, that's on me.
All right.
That's on me, I looked at that.
On page 4, there's a long history here of changes in the law. There were some changes that happened along the way where there were some restrictions put on, your master's degree has to be in the field that you're teaching. You can't, there was even MD stuff in that law, right? So that's why it's codified in the contract. So like if you want to get paid for your Juris Doctor, you have to maintain a bar license, right? Or if you want to, or your medical license if you're an MD. So there's some that law, the same law captured a bunch of people here. But what we're suggesting here is that the Salary and Benefits Department shall conduct a review of coursework to determine eligibility for advanced degree supplements. So the way I understand that it works right now is that the instructional person can submit it and it either fits or it doesn't.
Correct.
And so your position, I believe, you can speak for it yourself, but I think your position has been, it's not our job to conduct a review of the coursework. It either fits or it doesn't, right? And so what we're proposing is that you conduct that review of coursework to determine eligibility. We believe that some people may be able to get the supplement.
But the law specifically says that your advanced degree must be in the area of your certification.
Right.
And so coursework isn't, that's why we say, go to your school, get a letter that says that you in fact have the degree. Because looking at coursework, we are not a college and we are not able to determine, you need 9 credit hours for this or 6 credit hours for that or 12 credit hours for something else. That's why we rely on the actual college for the determination. It's good to
Right.
do some history.
Yeah, I understand. I think where we're at here is that some people are missing out that could not be missing out. And,
But when the
I don't think
college
we're
won't
talking-
do it, if
What do
the
you mean
college
the college
won't
won't
do
do
it, if the college won't write a letter themselves that says, yes, this person has taken the coursework to earn the degree.
that's
Why
what you
would-
tell people now?
Yes, we say, go back to your college, get a letter, and if they will write a letter on letterhead that specifically states that you have a conferred degree in the area of math or social studies, or whatever matches your certificate, we will give them the supplement.
So that's the current, so where there is ambiguity, that's the current practice is what you do. Where there is ambiguity. I mean, because
It's, yeah, if
It's
it's
clear
not
cut,
on there,
then-
correct, if it's not on there and they say, but I have it, I got it, I know I got it, we say, then go back to your school. We know it's not on your transcript, but if you'll have them put, it needs to be a letter on school letterhead signed by the dean, an administrator, the registrar's office, something.
Okay.
And some people do actually are able to get that, and sometimes they write back and say, I'm sorry, but you did not get an advanced degree, and but that puts us in an unusual circumstance because we don't confer college degrees.
Yeah.
So, and again, we'll also consider what you're putting in here. I don't want you to, I just want you to
Yeah.
know where our come from is.
and we're talking about where there is ambiguity, you know, because I don't know what
Yes.
percentage of the time that happens, but anyway, okay. There are no changes over the next couple of pages, and in fact, that may be it. The appendices are in there, just, those are historical purposes, and so there's no, we couldn't change those if we wanted to, so there's no reason. There's also on the very last page, Kathy, I understand that your concern is with the current law, but there at one point was a longevity supplement at $1,400, just to point out.
There was,
Yeah.
yes.
I
That was
understand under
before
different
the-
circumstances.
It was, yep, back, as we say, back in the day.
Mhm.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 22.44 is the round number, so 27.55.
Yeah, we got it.
Thanks. 27.55.
Thank you, Sally.
I think our intention though was to set up for 22.44. A lot of numbers up there.
Fine intention.
A lot of numbers up there. So 27.55, thanks.
Okay.
It wasn't intentional.
Does the 27.5 apply to your supplements? Because those are at 22.4,
Which one, the advanced degrees?
all of them.
No. The 196 to 250, what do you have for a percentage increase?
That was 27.5.
Okay, that's what I'm correcting.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
The 250 was not, we weren't aiming for a 27%, don't get me wrong.
Right.
250 was the number that we're looking for.
Right.
That represents a percentage.
Okay, I don't think I have any questions. No questions?
I'm good.
That was a good explanation, Justin.
I have 5 articles that have no substantial changes, a couple of pronoun changes,
Mhm.
modifications, but other than that, do you want them?
Yes.
You have a lot on your side, sure? Really? I can wait.
No, yeah, because yes,
Okay.
because if there's stuff that we can actually make sure that we
Well,
don't have to talk for a long time in caucus and can sign for you.
I say
And
this
us,
nicely.
not you.
Say this nicely, that's the illusion of progress. I want to, I want to actually make progress tonight. We need to get to caucus, let's get to caucus.
But
Seriously,
you're truly just handing over articles that have nothing really. to
I
do
understand, but if you
or
come back and
they-
that's all that we TA tonight, and you feel like there's been progress, there hasn't really been progress.
Well, I understand that, and I have direction from the board, but some of what you passed across is not some of what fits within our, so we may have to come back tomorrow with a
Okay,
chapter.
all right. I'll give them to you. I just don't want to.
Anything that we TA on is definitely progress, otherwise we're gonna be
Okay,
doing this and this.
I won't argue. I'll save my arguments for other things.
Okay.
I am gonna table 20 and 5.
Okay.
Okay. Board's rights and responsibilities is Article 3. This is gonna be incredibly boring for the audience.
There's some things that are highlighted, Kathy, those, because it was hard to show in red. So
You would not see it.
you might not see it, the change that needs to be made. So it's just getting rid of the semicolon.
Right, highlighted.
Yes, we highlighted the,
Okay.
Put a strike through. Or you wouldn't even
it's
notice.
hard to see.
All right, so board's rights and responsibilities, literally a one-page article. These are in numerical order. So that's 3. Here comes 5. I'm not going to give it anything to you. They already have them. The negotiation procedures are.
You didn't put any events.
We did not.
Okay.
You do, let us know. All right, going in numerical order here, 7 vacancies and promotions, 1 pronoun from each sheet. So we're not defaulting to him or his anymore. Transfers and reassignments. We went with highlighting again so that you can't, if you strike through a dash, you would never know that we did it. So on page 2, there's just a typo or is it a mistake? Take out that phrase and the sentence reads properly.
Okay.
Reduction in force is set. Does anybody in this room anticipate a reduction in force in this county anytime soon?
Not this school year that I can foresee. And then I
So
can't ever
there's-
say never, but
there's a
not,
pronoun-
there's no discussion at this point in time.
There's nothing to change
At the
here
virtual
because
school, are we looking there? Are they cutting?
it's a different thing.
Okay.
So there's a pronoun change on page 2 there.
And if that happened, I don't think that would be a RIF, that would just be
Right.
trying to finding, reassigning people
There's a
to
difference
not
between
sending
the
them
other
on.
language and the
Okay.
right, unit wise.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's some work to do.
I have 5 and 20, but I'll table it.
Okay,
There's no reason that is truly piling on.
okay,
So let's not do
Yep.
that.
we got a lot of work to do.
What are you gonna start? How long do you want to start with? We have nothing on our side, so tell me.
Give us an hour.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll set the timer.
all right.
Check in with you. I'll talk to him. Mike, advanced degrees. I did advanced degrees, so it's probably 22.4.
It is.
It is what it is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare anybody. My bad.
Okay, so, we are going to come back tomorrow. We are going to commit to you that we will come back with a counter on both supplements and compensation. So I had said I had compensation, but you threw in advanced degrees. And so we were trying to run some reports and try and pull out how many and how much that's going to affect the bucket. There were also some items in the supplements that were not ones I had considered. So I also need to go back and we need to kind of recalculate all of that. Obviously, the million going from 500 to a million for differentiated pay. So we will definitely make sure that we have a counter for you tomorrow evening for both of those items, and I'll go first right at the date. What I do have is, obviously I have TAs on the items that you had passed across that had just the yellow on them, all of them. I didn't make any changes to
So I have
them.
all 5 here.
You should have all
Okay,
that.
all right.
Recount, because I had all
Yep.
kinds of papers all over the table
1,
while we were talking.
3, 4, 5.
Okay, and then I'm gonna pass 2 of these to you, and I'm just gonna kind of speak to, this is a counter to the gains transitions. So we're countering back. We will accept, the counter for gains transitions of the 3,500 from 2,500, but we have struck through the incentive for the other EPD, IND, et cetera. And the reason for that is we believe that different situation, different circumstances, in the sense that we know that there is an unusual dynamic going on at the Gaines Transition School right now. The support that they have is not there for them right now as far as us hiring heroes for the classroom. We do believe that although Gaines Transitions gets picked up in differentiated pay, we do think that if there's an adjustment to differentiated pay, that the EBD and IN teachers will benefit in that category as well. So that will give your team something to talk about and discuss tomorrow or
Yep.
tonight. If you
No.
would prefer to caucus tonight, we can certainly.
Let me think about it. Do you have anything else?
No, that was it, right? That was everything.
I have signatures to do here.
Okay.
And I'll take that time to think.
Okay, do that.
Oh, yeah,
Because I think you guys have to hold on.
that's right. I need more than just one, unless you want to.
You're gonna take them with you and bring it back tomorrow?
Yeah, he gave you all of the
I
copies.
mean,
Oh,
right
you
now.
did? Okay, here, hang on.
Okay.
So who's got,
Either that or probably quicker to,
yeah,
I gave them all to you because.
oh, you did, yeah,
because of
okay.
the-
Four, yeah.
We're signing up in the 5.
I have
I have it.
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
Hold on.
You want
Sorry.
You got 4, you need 5.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Don't confuse them yet.
No, I know. I just am not a card player.
That way. But I get the rest.
All right, let's see what that.
Okay.
So, hang on.
I see. All right.
3. Article 3, you have an extra Article 3 written on, perfect. Okay. Gonna give that one back to you. That's it.
So this is power.
Yeah, because you need 3 of them, right?
Why need to?
Gracias.
Jen, can you make sure that all 5 get them?
Yes, please. No, I don't think I have them all. There's 8. I have enough for 8.
One. You're gonna say they would go 35. Just striking that.
Reduction force, I have 3 reduction forces. I think this is the only one to get the promotion, but I don't have. We don't have any for 12.
Vacancies and promotions?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yep. One more. That's what it did. Five, right? Yes. 2, 3, 4,
They're all
5.
different.
8. Yes. 8, 12, 13. Okay.
Um,
Oh, thank you, Phyllis.
I can answer this for you tomorrow because we have a proposal on the table regarding differentiated pay. So
Okay,
I agree, that's where we would handle it.
right.
If not here, then there. But since we have something on the table, let's see if we can
Okay.
come together tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Has that committee met for this year yet?
We've met, we're pulling numbers now and meeting in January.
The pay committee. We don't have anything else on my side, or on our side, I'll have an answer for it now.
Okay.
We can work through that.
All right.
The pay pool matters.
All right, back here tomorrow, Phyllis? Yes. Okay. Start at 5:30?
Yes.
Okay.
We did pool pay $1 million this year. We hesitated earlier. We signed an MOU,
MOU 500,000.
double it for this year. So whether we do a contract moving forward, this year we do have. No answer for tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
All right, good night. Everybody drive safe. We'll see you tomorrow. I know what I mean.
Sorry.
Can you mail me this back up?